Where does self-confidence come from? And this is the best advice I can give you on that. Not neglecting, first of all, the small daily disciplines. Self-confidence really comes from feeling good about yourself. And one of the best ways to feel good about yourself is at the end of the day to know that you poured it on. You did your best. If you conducted a meeting, you did the best you could. If you made a phone call, it was the best phone call you could possibly make. If you wrote a letter, it wasn't a casual letter, it was your best letter. At the end of those kind of days, when you feel good about yourself, self-confidence starts to rise. You know that if you can have this kind of a good day, you can have another one the next day, and those days become the weeks become the months, and the month becomes a powerful year. Self-confidence comes from the lack of neglect. If you will not neglect to do the small daily disciplines, that's where self-confidence comes from. Part of good health is self-confidence. I know I'm going to be healthy. I take the Herbalife products. I eat the apple a day. I walk around the block. I do the jogging on the beach. At the end of the day, when you've really poured it on and you've done all the stuff, self-confidence grows. We all know what the enthusiasm is like when somebody lets us see their enthusiasm, which is like the 90%, and only 10% of it is inside. But the enthusiasm that really affects people is not just being loud, but the enthusiasm that runs deep, the enthusiasm that comes from deep inside, created by self-confidence, created by purpose, created by genuine willingness to help other people. That kind of enthusiasm, knowing that you're going to get the job done, knowing you're going to affect people, knowing you're going to have testimonials flowing in from all kinds of directions. That kind of enthusiasm. A lot of it is quiet. A lot of it is unheard. And the 10% that's heard, it rings a bell. People call it genuine enthusiasm because they know that what you say in the outward display of your enthusiasm is only a small tip of the iceberg of the enthusiasm you feel inside that really motivates you to do the best job you can.
There's a Bible phrase that we could quote here that would be appropriate. It says, "If you will be faithful over a few things, the small things, you will someday be ruler over many things and major things." That's it. That's the philosophy that counts. Surely life is reluctant to hand a fortune to someone who constantly messes up his paycheck. It's not the amount that counts. It's the plan and the faithful discipline of that plan that counts. The disciplines are those ingenious keys that unlock the door to the kind of person we really want to become. And becoming attracts all those treasures and values that most anyone would call the good life. Life in abundance, life in productivity, life in enterprise, life in influence, life in style.
Steve's a dear friend of mine, and when he was building the Win, I'll never forget, he was at my home in Sun Valley. I'd just gotten to meet him. It was New Year's, and everybody else was standing watching the fireworks, and I was sitting at the table, and I was basically doing a brain melt, sucking out of his brain everything I possibly could. How do you think about this? What do you do? How do you market? And here's what I learned from Steve. People don't buy products. They buy feelings. People don't buy products. They buy states. People don't buy products. They buy identities. And he and I went back and forth for about 2.5 or 3 hours and became lifelong friends for the last decade and a half. He came to this seminar, sat in the front row, and there's almost nothing that makes me uncomfortable, but I'm like, what am I going to teach him? But he sat in this event at lunch, took me to lunch, and he goes, "This is the most valuable session I've been in the last 10 years. I know what I'm going to do." This was in 2008. He said, "Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, when all my competitors are shrinking right now because they're trying to survive, I'm going to go build this giant beach club that goes right to Las Vegas Avenue. I'm going to build this new entrance. I'm going to up my services." He said, "I'm going to do what you teach. What is the fundamental success to becoming wealthy? It's only one thing. If you want to be wealthy, you have to do more for your clients than who? Than anyone else. You have to add more what? That is the entire secret to wealth in business. If you want it in one sentence, it's simple. Do more for others than anyone else is doing. Add more value, and you will own them, and you will own the marketplace." He goes, "You know what I'm going to do, Tony? When everybody else is shrinking, I'm going to add more value. So all the high-end people are going to see I'm doing more, and they're going to come to me. And this down period is going to be the most important period of my entire career. Because when the economy comes back and those guys start giving services, I already own these people. They're not going to leave me. I'm their home. You got to ask yourself, what do I do to add more value? And many of you think adding more value means cutting your prices or doing something of that nature. Sometimes adding value is raising your price. It's crazy. Raising your price can increase your sales if it's the right piece. Now, if you raise your price and do more, no question that could be the right thing in some cases. Some of you, your market is the cheapest price. Maybe it's time to change that business model, because unless you're Walmart or Amazon or somebody that can do things at massive volume and lose money and sustain it, you might need a thing called a margin. If you're going to be successful in business, you want a high margin. High margins come from high human needs being met.
Kobe Bryant, one of the greatest athletes of our time, would show up on game day, and if he saw anybody else at the gym as early as him, even though he was always the first on the court, he would end up practicing longer than that person. And I had the honor of interviewing one of those people one time. And he said, I went up and asked Kobe, we have a game in an hour. Like, what are you doing out here practicing so long? And Kobe said, I needed you to know that I was willing to outwork you. And in that game, they ended up winning. And that lesson stuck with that guy forever. When you're willing to put in the work, when you're willing to take control of your environment and put yourself through the stressors required for adaptation, you literally can become anything. And my life is proof of that.
Every single day, give yourself a challenge of looking for good deeds, looking for goodness.
And try to go through your day without judging people. Judging people in a way where you're bringing them down, or judging people in a way where you're putting them up and putting yourself down.
I think it's about finding something every day to be grateful for and to be happy for. And then all of a sudden, you're already living that.
Your time is coming. The right people, the right breaks, favor, restoration, vindication, that's what's headed your way.
Make sure every single day you go out, you live fully, you love openly, and you stay motivated to make your difference every single day.
Don't hate your competitors. Respect your competitors. Learn from him.
You'll come up with your own style. That's part of the fun.
Passion is the feeling you have that you would probably do this for free.
When you put forth effort, you get reward.
And your plan has got to have... have something I call the C5 complex. Your plan has got to be clear, concise, compelling, consistent, and committed. You've got to have a plan.
Now, what? What do you do? Where do you go from here? You see, instead of doing that and putting all your eggs in one basket, the best thing you can do is start investing in yourself first. It's easy to believe in yourself when everyone believes in you. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about believing in yourself when you're not ready. Believing in yourself when no one believes you.
There's a level where all your dreams are realized, but it takes that extra burst when you think there's nothing left. There's no way. You've tried everything 10 million times and you keep going.
And we believe that if we do not succeed, somebody will. If you think like a machine, the problem will come. In the past 20 years, we'll make people like a machine. In the next 20 years, machine will look like a people.
But whatever you want to learn, you can learn. The age of what your parents grew up with is gone. You can learn anything that you want.
Entrepreneurs work for free. He says, you never want a paycheck. You understand that, kid? I said, okay, I got it. And he says, well, how do I make money? He says, that's what entrepreneurs figure out.
Like, they can't control their life. They can't control their environment. This happens to me when I get overscheduled.
How does that instantiate itself day to day, week to week, month to month? And that's where something like a schedule can be unbelievably useful. Google Calendar. It's like, make a damn schedule and stick to it.
Fear protects us in many ways. What has served me is diving into my own obliviousness, being more confident than I should be, which everyone tends to decry in American kids, and those of us who have been grade inflated and ego inflated. Well, it can be a good thing if it makes you try things you never might have tried. Your inexperience is an asset and will allow you to think in original, unconventional ways.
One thing I want to make really clear, and if you ignore everything else, this is the one where you stop and you pay attention, because this could save years of your life. You're playing is not success. The game you're playing is not money. The game you're playing is brain chemistry. The only thing that matters in life, truly, the only thing that matters in life is what you think about yourself when you're by yourself and have nothing but your own thoughts. If in that moment you feel good about who you are, who you're becoming, what you're capable of, and what you're willing to do to make a better future for yourself, those you care about, and other people around you, you will love your life. It is the single most pleasurable neurochemical state is deep fulfillment. Okay? Not happiness. A bowl of ice cream brings me a lot of happiness, but it is a very transient experience. Deep and lasting fulfillment matters, and what that comes down to is how you feel about yourself when you're by yourself.